So how do you become a millionaire? I get asked this question all the time. It's simple, but it's not easy. I want to talk to you some of the strategies we can do to actually get there and show you some of the ways that a lot of my friends have done it, also the way I've done it. Maybe you can take some of these things and adapt it so you can use it for yourself. So the first one, you need to set the clear goals. So when you look at how do you make a million, so I'm going to take my calculator out. If you put a million into your calculator like this and you divide that by 365, it means you need to make 2,739 per day. So the question is, how do you do that? When you are setting something, you need to also break it down. And the way you break it down, and of course, that's not including taxes and things like that. So again, if you're starting £1 million business, how do you start a business and make 7 figures when you do it? This is one of the ways you do it, is to break that down. When you're able to reverse engineer, this is what gives you the edge, because now you have something to focus on. So your goal really should be, how do you make $2,739 a day? Now, let's say you have a business, but you sell something. For example, let's say this water is like £1, or let's say you want to sell charging unit, or let's say, I don't know, you want to sell a hairdryer. All these different things, you got to think about, first of all, what is the product size? Now, here's the good news. The bigger the price something is, the less you have to sell of it, which means it's easier to hit the target, but it's harder to sell. When you have something which is a lot cheaper, what happens is you can sell volume. So that's the first thing you need to start thinking about. So make sure that you're setting the goal to be able to achieve it. The second thing is create a budget and stick to it. The reason why most people can't become millionaires is because the money that they earn, they actually spend. What we should be doing is the money that we make, we should be investing. The money we make from investing is the money we should be spending. It should go that way instead of that way. For example, track your expenses, cut unnecessary expenses, and kind of save and put that money aside regularly. In one of my previous videos, I talked about taxing yourself first. If you're able to take your income and then tax yourself first, everything changes, because now you have money to invest, you have money to do things with. So that's why I think it's really important to start really creating that budget and then sticking to it. The third thing is eliminate the debt. The less debt that we have, the less we have to pay off, which means paying off like high interest debt, avoiding new debt that's not going to bring income in. So every time I'm taking out some money, or every time I want to refinance, or every time I want to put money to something, my first question is this ROI? Like, for example, if I buy a Lamborghini, and by the way, I buy a lot of supercars, but I don't even drive them. Why? Because when you put your money into it, it increases in value. Honestly, like, I hardly drive any of these cars, but I know that when I buy it, it makes money. Almost every supercar that I've bought has made me money. Again, I use it as an example because you want to put your money to things, even like things like watches. You put your money into a watch, and a specific type of watch will increase in value. And when I'm investing in my knowledge, when I attend a course, when I have an advisor come on board, when I hire a new staff member, when I get a new mentor and a coach, I'm starting to think about, is this putting more into my pocket or taking more out? And that's why I think it's really important to really start investing in things and putting things that produce you a return on investment. 4, okay, we say, John, okay, now I've saved some money, then what do I invest in? I can't give you any financial advice, but I'm gonna tell you what I do and what some of my friends do as well. Stock market. There are certain stocks that go up, there's certain stocks that go down. The rule is you get in when it's low and then you get out when it's high. Now the question is, well, John, that's so easy. Then how do you do that? So there are certain patterns you want to look for. There are certain indicators that you can use. There are certain groups that you can join where everyone's doing this, what we call technical analysis, and they can look at the charts and go, okay, based on this, it's going up. And actually, there is a massive clue on when the market's going to move. People say, John, is the market manipulated? Of course it is. Because you have all these big private equity firms like dumping money in, and they can move the market because they have billions and billions and billions of dollars. So it's knowing when they are making the moves. That's the key. It's not whether you're trading or not. You need to know when those guys are making the moves, and that's when you get in with them. That's why they say first in, first out. Real estate. This is something I love to invest in as well. Real estate is brilliant. Why? Because for me, when you put money into real estate, it has something called intrinsic value, which means, for example, if you're watching this right now, you own a property, it's probably worth more money than what you paid for it if you've been in there 5, 10, 15, 20 years, because intrinsic value grows because of supply and demand. And then you need to also diversify. Don't put all your money into one place. You need to diversify that income. So for example, I put some into real estate, I put some into startups, I put some into stocks, I put some into blockchain, put some into like the Web3 space, into AI, into online businesses, offline businesses. So you want to diversify it, because if one of these industries go down, it's not going to affect you. Make sure that you're also putting something into like retirement growth. So these are like big interest savings accounts that actually, when you put your money into that, it's going to get you massive growth over time, and it compounds as well. The fifth thing you want to do, you want to become a millionaire, you need to create income on the side. So you create your income. So for example, is it possible to become a millionaire working in the job? Yes. Like, you look at all the early people that were in Google. Here's the secret. Get with a company that's not already established. You get into the company, you prove that you have value to offer, and when you've proved it over a number of years, then you take some equity in the company, or you take some stock in that company. You look at all the first personal assistants that started in Google, for the CEOs, they got some stock in those companies, and look, they make more money than some of the executives in the company now. So you have to start thinking about how all all this stuff works and how you can start putting it all together. Have a side hustle, start a side business, take a part-time job if you have to, or do some consulting. So you might have your job, but you might have some consulting on the side. If your employer allows you to do that, then that's one thing you could also start exploring. And then you want to start creating some passive forms of income through investments, royalties, online businesses. In fact, one of the best passive income strategies is to use a membership site. There are different types of memberships. So you could start a community where people are paying you money every single month. And once they're paying you money every single month, it's what we call passive recurring income. The effort it takes to sell something once, it's the same to sell something once and get paid over and over again. That's why it's so powerful. Number 6 is you want to educate yourself, like financial literacy, read books, attend seminars, training courses, find financial experts who are really good at what they do. That's why we run a lot of virtual events. I go to all my friends who are multimillionaires and they teach me this stuff and I want to pass it on to you. But obviously, we watch a video here, but I would love to teach you some of this stuff live. And if you would love to attend any of our live summits, if you click the link below or you go to johnlee.com, you'll see all the events that we have coming up. A lot of our virtual events, we like to give it to you for free as a gift. All we ask is if you attend and you register, just refer one person so you can learn together, because then you have an accountability buddy to learn together. 7 is you want to plan for long term. So for example, emergency funds. Like a lot of people, they don't put it together an emergency fund. It's not a savings fund, because a savings fund should be really invested and multiplied. An emergency fund is when you create it and it's there for a rainy day. When they say save money for a rainy day, it should save money for an emergency day. But a lot of people don't think about it like that. They just go, oh, well, I'm just going to save some money and then I'm going to invest it. No, because that saved money always gets used up by emergency stuff rather than investment stuff. That's why you also need an investment fund, a pot, and then you need an emergency pot as well. And actually your emergency pot should be 6 to 12 months of living costs if you can. You go, well, John, I can't even put together $500 to $1,000 a month to save up, let alone that. So this is why you need to start and tax yourself first. Make sure you watch my other video on my YouTube channel about how we do that as well. Number 8 is you've got to be persistent and you've got to be patient. I made my first million at the age of 27 through real estate. So I became a property millionaire. But that's because I was able to buy assets that increase in value. The key here is that if you want to earn more income, then you got to make sure that you're doing things in a way that allows you to multiply it. If you have friends right now that they want to do something, but it's not working out and you're like, oh my God, it's not going to work. Then the issue with that is they want something too quick. And if they want something too quick, it's not going to happen because it takes time to implement. It doesn't happen overnight. That's why they say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, because of all of the things that you're putting together. These are the little incremental things, shifts that we make in order to really grow. Then you also want to set some kind of timeline as well. So I have like a 1 year, 2 year focus, 3 to 5 year focus, and 6 to 10 year focus. And when you have that timeline, okay, from this year to this year, I'm going to make this, and then you just reverse engineer back. And here's the good news about this. When you get started in doing this, it's kind of like this hockey stick. It starts off slow, even with all the effort you put in, and then you get this peak. That's what you want to start thinking about. How do you create that hockey stick movement, and all the little things you put together, all the pieces suddenly fall into place, and that's when you start making money. Funny thing about this, a lot of millionaires that become millionaires don't notice to become millionaires because they're so involved in the process. I remember looking at my portfolio at the time and go, oh my God, I'm actually a millionaire because of all the properties that I bought and how they increased and the cash flow that I was making and the equity that I was having as well and the cash it was making. And then when you buy and sell property, you get lump sums of cash. So sometimes it's not just doing one thing a lot of little times, it's doing maybe one big transaction. True wealth is created from what we call exits. So if you can create exits, that's going to make a massive impact to you and your business and your wealth. By the way, if you love this, leave a comment below, like this, because I'm creating new content to share with you as well. And make sure you check out this video here to help you earn more passive forms of income.